this is Teacher Sharon, your daily food processing teacher.
Last week, we discussed collect and transfer samples under controlled conditions. All incoming samples are received through the receiving section, maintained and supervised by laboratory responsible person. On receiving section, the laboratory's responsible personnel initially check the relevant overall criteria like sample, identity, or labeling. Mode of transportation, condition of the sample including packaging, sample quantity, verification of fees, parameter to be tested against the customer declaration or requirements, any abnormalities, deviation, doubts from the normal condition, suitability for the sample for test. The same shall be received in the sterilized container or sample box. The laboratory documentation system shall include all relevant information such as customer details, date of receipt, condition of the sample on receipt, sample quantity, transportation, parameters to be tested, and observation or remark. This week, we will continue to discuss the collect samples, and we are expected to identify and report defects or abnormalities in source material and or sample according to workplace requirements. What is food defects? When it comes to food, defects include blemished apples, bruised peaches, mushy bananas, green eggs, iridescent ham, slimy whiners, stale cereal, lumpy mashed potatoes, and crunchy macaroni and cheese. Quality is thus more than the absence of the bad. It is also the presence of good to great to exquisite. The color of a fruit indicates how ripe it is, and the color also in an indication of strength as in tea or coffee. Degree of cooking, freshness or spoilage. Consumers expect food to be a certain color, and if they are not, it is judged to be a quality defects. Defects in ice cream quality associated with compositional factors are related to flavor, body and texture, meltdown, color and appearance. Dairy ingredients may contribute to rancid or oxidized flavors associated with fat content. Stale or old ingredient flavors associated especially with the use of dried milk ingredients. The main objective of food industry quality control programs is to determine whether the quality and safety requirements are fulfilled by detecting whether unacceptable levels of hazards or defects exist in foods. The sources of errors in sampling. It is essential that all those involved in the sampling process are familiar with the objectives of the work and are clear about their roles. This will identify aspects that are unclear or impracticable and require modification to avoid errors. Determination or identification of defects in food samples. Each of the methods describes procedures to be followed in the examination of particular food or commodity. Based on the results of this examination, a determination is made as to whether or not the material is fit for food. Using the defect action level established by FDA as the standard, particular defects which are likely to result in a determination that a given lot or shipment of material is not passable of the method for the food item. There are two types of determination or identification of defects in food samples. Number 1, sources of defects, field versus storage. And number 2, the signs and symptoms of defects. In sources of defects, field versus storage, insects, molds, and rodents are the principal cohesive agents for most of the defects covered by microanalytical methods. In general, these agents may be classified as either field or storage pest. In the field or orchard, a food commodity is more likely to be susceptible to different pests attacks than it is after harvest or during storage. During its movement from farm to the processor and through distribution channels, environmental conditions surrounding the commodity change significantly because of the different habitats. Different species of organisms challenge the product's integrity. The second, determination or identification of defects in food samples, the signs and symptoms of defects. It may be convenient to understand the defects in food as comprising a combination of signs and symptoms. Signs refer to the direct causal agents of the defect, while symptoms are the adverse effects observable in the product material. For example, the sign could be the presence of the specific causal factor, such as species of fungi, bacteria, virus, insect, rodent, bird, nematode, or other pest. The symptom or observable adverse effect in the product may take various forms, such as different degrees and types of decomposition, tissue breakdown, lesions, or other abnormal conditions. In some instances, the symptom per se can conclusively identify the causal factor. For example, the circular, light brown, decayed lesions of brown rot on peaches are unique to Monilinia fructicola. To check your understanding, this will measure how much you have learned from our lesson. You will going to make a narrative report. Read and analyze the food defects level of the following food. Use the URL found in your module on page 4. For your home task, read the record sample information on your week 9 module.
That's all for today. Again, this is Teacher Sharon. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.